Hopefully this should be the last one. Once I've picked this drone up and put it inside the landing bay, our base should be relatively clear now. Which is a good thing because it was looking rather messy out there. That's if I can pick it up. Come on, get a grip on it, damn you. Ah, finally. Right, let's take you back, Mr. Drone. You're destined to be chopped up into little bits and turned into something far more useful. And once I've done that, I can set my sights on seizing that blasted carrier out there. Actually, just to check, Ben, has there been any change in the status of the Argentavis since we damaged it?
Negative, Commander. There has been no change in the status of the Argentavis since it was struck by the sensor array. It is continuing to hold position approximately 4 kilometers from our asteroid base, and I am still not detecting any signs that any of the original crew are still alive.
Good. Thanks, Ben. My original plan was to equip the Grazer with 2 kinetic torpedoes and attack the Argentavis from above, taking out its main reactor. But I've had a change of plan. I want to seize that ship relatively intact. And as risky as that sounds, I think I have an idea of how I can manage to achieve just that. There we go. I'll just add this to the rest of my drone collection. Right, it's time to make some changes to the Grazer. Okay, let's do this. I've removed the turret from the top and I've added an extra set of retro thrusters to the front of the Grazer. I want this thing to be lighter and able to accelerate and decelerate a lot faster than before. This thing needs to be able to move, and move fast. I've also added an extra landing gear to the back, just so it's got better grip on any flat surfaces. Now this will be important once we capture the Argentavis. There it is. Now, flying towards this thing head-on is going to be suicide. But that's not what I intend to do. I've been studying the schematics of the Argentavis ever since we killed Varus and his crew. And I realised that the Argentavis has another glaring weakness. That is the fact that its turrets cannot target anything that is directly astern. In other words, this ship has a blind spot at its 6 o'clock position directly behind it, and that is something that I have full intention of exploiting. What I need to do is fly over the top of this thing and get around behind it and stay out of its weapons range. If I stray within 800 meters, those automated defenses, in other words the Gatling turrets and that missile launcher, will just tear me to shreds. You know, it's times like these I'm actually glad this ship's not big enough to be armed with any railguns or equipped with any tactical nukes. Otherwise it would have been one hell of a short battle. The second part of my plan is that once I actually get close enough to the Argentavis, I will use my grinder and cut into the ship just in front of the main engines but just behind the lateral thrusters, which, if all goes well, should grant me access to the interior of that vessel. And this is actually where it gets risky. Once I'm inside, I will need to find a way of disabling the interior defense turrets. Now, during my time in the military, I have boarded and inspected several Carrack-class cargo vessels, and I've got a rough idea of where they are, and assuming that the pirate version has them in the same place, then we should be good to go. But that is a big gamble. I mean, I'm just working on the assumption that Varus and his men haven't moved those turrets around. If they have, then this could end particularly badly for me. But it's a risk I'm willing to take. I need to secure this vessel as my own, and this is the most effective way of doing it without significantly damaging the ship. Okay, we're starting to approach the stern of the vessel now. I need to make sure that I get directly behind it, but not too close so that the turrets start engaging me.
Warning. Warning, Commander Robertson. I have detected that the automated defenses on the Argentavis have begun tracking your ship, but cannot fire due to the extreme range.
Acknowledged. Thanks for the warning, Ben. As I get closer to that ship, those engine nacelles should block their line of sight to me completely. If not, then I am royally screwed. That's me in position now, just increasing velocity and trying to close the distance as quickly as I can. And if I've done this right, I shouldn't be engaged by any of those turrets. Here's hoping. So far, so good. Perfect, that's close enough. And now, the difficult part begins. The spot I'm aiming for is just past those main engines and right in front of that thruster to the top there. And if the internal schematics are still the same as the Carrack, then that should bring me through to the ceiling of the personnel quarters. If not, then I could be in trouble. I'll just get my grinder ready. I want to stick to the side of this ship as closely as I can. If I drift too far forward or too far away from the side of it, then that Gatling turret mounted on the top up there is going to turn me into Swiss cheese. Here we go. This should be the spot right here. Let's grind it down. Ah, you see that? The air is escaping. That means we're almost through to the inside. There we are. Right, I'll just get rid of some of these metal plates back at the grazer, then come back again. I don't want to be too heavily weighed down. Yeah, this is definitely the personnel quarters. Which means that if the layout is still the same, and the interior defence turrets haven't been moved about, then we should have one just behind this door. So the best way to get rid of it is for me to cut in through the ceiling and try and destroy the block that is feeding it power, which in theory should disable it. Just one more block, I think. Whoa, this one's exposed me to space, and the turret that's on the top. I need to be careful. Right, I think this is the conveyor that's feeding it power and ammunition, so if I get rid of that, it should disable it. Yep, there it is. Right, that's one turret down. I'm going to stick an armour block here, just so that I don't get shot whilst I'm heading back. Now the next one should be just under the floor about here. So, here goes. Excellent, that's two turrets taken care of now. I neutralised the one behind the door first because those turrets can and will shoot through doors if they detect somebody behind them, so it's worth bearing in mind that they will offer you no cover at all. Whoa, crap, that was close. Damn, getting careless, drifting a bit too far from the side of the ship there. Access denied. Of course it is. Don't worry, I've got the next best thing. I'll have you open in no time, Mr. Door. Ah, it's gravity locked. It's not letting me push it out the way. Damn. I don't need to destroy the door completely. All I need to do is grind it down to that marker there on the left and I should be able to hack into its systems. Then all I need to do is weld it back up again and ownership of that door will belong to me. There we go, just like that. Yep, this turret is well and truly deactivated, but I'm just going to make sure. All I've got to do now is go over to the reactor over there, grind it down to its hacking point, which should shut down all the major systems on this ship. There we go, mission accomplished. Now I am free to grind down and change ownership of all the systems on the ship to me at my leisure. And best of all is that there was only minor damage done to this ship in the process, which means that there's more for me to use. I'll probably need those components later on, but for now I'll just put them in here. Okay, let's check out the weapons on this thing. I'll have to remember to fix that later on. Nice one. That Gatling turret looks a lot better than the one I had on the Grazer. More barrels equals faster rate of fire. And now it is mine. I'll keep it turned off at the moment. That way when I bring the reactor back online later on it won't start automatically shooting at things by accident. Now here's a weapon system I've been waiting to get my hands on, a missile launcher. I'll get Ben to do a more in-depth analysis of this once the ship's online and brought back to our base. We could certainly do with more of those types of turrets in the future. Right, I'll just keep on grinding these turrets down and changing the ownership to me. That way when the ship goes online again, it should be perfectly safe. That's the last antenna and all the turrets done. Now I'll just head back to the Grazer and quickly survey the damage that's been done to the Argentavis so far. I'm hoping it will be minimal, but I guess we'll just have to see. Right, let's have a quick look at the exterior. Most of the starboard side looks fine. It has lost one lateral thruster behind the cockpit though, but that seems to be the extent of the damage on this side. Ouch. I can't say the same for the port side though. It looks like it received the brunt of the impact from the sensor array. Over half the cockpit has been smashed to pieces, and a lot of the thrusters have been destroyed too. Varus's command chair has been wrecked and the platform it was sitting on has been completely destroyed. No sign of any bodies though, but they're probably out drifting in deep space by now. I might as well just get rid of this thing completely. Good grief, do you think you had enough ammo there, Varus? I mean, seriously, 1,000 magazines? Was he expecting to be boarded by an entire battalion of Marines or something? I'll leave these ones in place though, they might come in useful later on. On second thoughts, because this thing's not attached to anything, I might as well just get rid of it too.
Inventory full.
More insane quantities of ammunition. I'll just put them in here in the meantime. Nice one! This ship is exceptionally well stocked with components. I'll have to remember to do a full inventory check later on. In the meantime, I'll continue checking the aft quarters. That's after I clean up this ridiculous amount of ammo first. Okay, let's see what's in here. A medical room? What appears to be a large battery or capacitor or something. And 2 empty cryopods. Ah, hang on, there's something written on the side. Jump drive! This is a jump drive! Oh, you cannot be serious. Ben, can you analyze the device in front of me?
Negative, Commander. I am unable to analyze the device in front of you, as it is shielded in a material that is blocking my initial scans. I would need to be able to gain access to the ship's systems in order to run a more detailed analysis.
Acknowledged. Thanks, Ben. Well, that would certainly be able to explain how this ship got here so quickly. But I am apprehensive about even using that thing, especially after what happened on board the Event Horizon. I need to know more about how that thing works before I go anywhere near bringing it back online, let alone using it. And this must be the ship's computer. Access denied. Well, not for much longer. Before we continue, I just need to check one thing. Yeah, that's what I thought. There isn't any connectors down there. No worries. I'll just fly the Grazer onto the back of the Argentavis and lock it in place using the landing gear. Once I finish the repairs on the Argentavis and install a new flight chair and bring the reactor back online, I plan to eventually fly both these ships back to the asteroid base. Perfect. Ah, you gotta love that new tricycle landing gear. It's much more stable than the previous design. And this should be enough to complete the flight seat. Excellent. Now, providing I've not made any mistakes, all the systems on the ship should now belong to me. So all that's left now is for me to bring the reactor back online. Here we go. Brilliant! And it's got 27 units of uranium. Oh, that should be more than enough to get us back to the base. And we've got gravity, so I can turn this jetpack off now. Right, time to double check the systems on this ship before I fly this back to our base. Oxygen generators, excellent. I'll just take an extra bottle with me. I've patched up the damage I did to the hull, so these quarters are now airtight again. I'll leave these two airlocks alone for now. I need to make more changes to them. Everything in here seems to be working okay. But I will leave that jump drive alone for now. I still want to get Ben to run some tests on it and check it out first before I even think about using it. I just need him to check and double check that that device is perfectly safe. Right, that pretty much covers everything back here. It all looks fine to me. Time to head to the bridge. I'll just close these blast doors. That way the rest of the ship can repressurize again. Nice. Right, let's take the helm. Yeah, I'm actually feeling a little exposed in here. Yeah, I'm going to have to fix that when I get back to base. I also turned the Grazer's inertial dampeners off earlier, so we should be good to go. Okay, let's test these gyros out. Good. Now initiating main engine burn.
Ship fuel low.
It's not that low. Whoa, this thing sounds like an absolute beast. It's not decelerating very quickly, but that's probably due to the missing thrusters. Not a problem though, I'll just do a 180 and use the main engines to slow down.
Ship fuel low.
That's going to start to get really annoying. I'll have to remember to get Ben to go into the ship settings and turn that off.
Ship fuel low. Ship fuel low.
Yeah, bitchin' Betty, I hear you. I will say one thing though, and that's that this ship certainly accelerates pretty quickly. I can quite easily see the pirates using the jump drive to jump into the civilian shipping lanes, then use the drones to attack the ore miners or civilian cargo ships, seize the cargo, accelerate away using those main engines, and escaping using the jump drive before help arrives, which is something that this ship seems particularly well suited for. Right, approaching the base now. I'll try and stop at around 200 meters. I don't want to get too close. That should do. I'll just turn 90 degrees and hold position here. That'll do us. Right, time to take the grazer back into the landing bay. My new ship. Oh, so much debris floating around. The pieces of one of the drones I threw against the wall must have drifted apart whilst I was away. That's one of the problems with microgravity. Once again, I'm loving this new tricycle landing gear configuration. Okay, let's get rid of some of this debris before it causes an accident. I'll grind down the rest of my drone collection later on. At least then I'll have more space in this hangar. Overall, I would say that this has been one hell of a successful mission, and I am now the proud owner of a genuine pirate carrier. Of course, I'll have to do some repairs and a major refit of that vessel, but most importantly, I'll have to get Ben to check that jump drive, because if it proves to be safe to use, then I may very well have found a way of finally getting back home to Earth.